Sliding collar instruments are another fixed instrument designed to be installed left at the bridge. They were also developed like the sonar instrument that we talked about earlier under NCHRP Project 21-3. This is originally designed to be a really kind of an ultra low cost instrument. It would be good for city, county bridge owners, smaller bridges, structures where you don't want to put a very expensive type of instrument. It was designed to work by driving a stainless steel rod into the stream bed upstream of the pier. The steel plate you see here is just the support for the demo. Okay, this steel rod that you drive in would typically have a hardened steel driving point on it. You drive the rod into the stream bed in front of the pier, and then you have a collar that slides over the rod. The collar was designed with some magnets in it. And then we have a switch, a magnetic sensing switch that we would drop down the center of the pipe. Let's look at that first, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the collar. This is what it would look like. It's a little bit like doing a well sounding, where the collar is sitting down here in the stream bed, like so. Remember, you got the magnets on the collar. You take from the top of the bridge this, what it is where the yellow tape is. There's a magnetic reed switch. It's R-E-E-D, because it's this type of motion. It's actually a reed-activated switch, activated in a magnetic field. So when you drop this down the pipe, once you encounter those magnets, a buzzer goes off. So you just measure how far down you drop this thing, you pull it up, and you say, well, it's down at about 20 feet today, whatever it might be. It was designed to be a very low-cost, very simple device. The operator would have to go out to the bridge, take that reading, and record the distance. The collar itself, based on some lab studies as well as field investigation, was designed ultimately as a three-point contact, minimize potential for gravel and rocks getting around here and jamming it. It had a vertical dimension here, so you wouldn't get wedged. If you imagine a washer on a bolt, if it gets cocked a little bit, it won't slide. So we wanted to give it some vertical dimension, but we wanted to minimize these contact points, keep it centered, but allow gravels and twigs and stuff that might get in the way to not totally interfere with the operation. Now, certainly, a tree branch came along and snagged it like this could certainly keep it from dropping. So that's a concern. It's one of the limitations of the device. But it's a very simple, very low-cost device that could be used on a variety of bridges. The next generation of it said, well, this is a pretty good idea, but it's really a nuisance to have to send an inspector out, particularly during the flood, to go take that measurement. And so subsequent iteration involved automating that measurement. And what it is the same reed switch concept, but there's reed switches buried in this every 6 inches. This pipe would go down inside the stainless steel tube, and as the collar moved, it would activate different switches. And those switches would report into a very simple instrument box that simply would light up at the location that this happened to be. If it slid up or if it slid down. Now, similar to the Briscoe monitor, you can see that this is a maximum scour depth only. Once that collar goes down, it doesn't come back up. It'll be buried under the sediment, but again, that's not an issue from scour monitoring. What we're worried about is the maximum scour. If it scours deeper during a subsequent flood, we would pick it up here and know about it. And this too, would be mounted up on the bridge deck. An inspector would have to go out and read it. But we have done this as well. You can automate this, take it to a data logger, and into some type of telemetry system and send it back to an office and get your measurements without having to go out to the field. The other advantage to this, besides not having to drop that sensor down the center of the pipe, was once you go to a wire, with the other system, with this system, you can see that the pipe had to come all the way up to the bridge deck, right? So the operator could stand on the bridge deck and send this down the center of the pipe. With this automated insert, once you clear the the stream bed, okay, now remember this is driven into the bed in front of the pier, so it might be down 8, 10, 12, maybe as much as 15 feet. We'll talk about that in a minute. But there is a limit to how deep you can drive this pipe. It's in the bed. With the simple device, that pipe would continue up to the bridge deck. With the automated insert, you could terminate the pipe at the stream bed, put on some type of a T-fitting and a flex hose or a flex conduit of some type, and run this wire through that up to the bridge deck so that you could bring this up anywhere you wanted. The steel pipe on the original version would have to come straight up the face of the pier, right? If this is mounted on the nose of the pier in the stream bed. That's a real vulnerable situation for loading debris again, trees, logs, things coming down the river. With this arrangement, you could wrap this downstream, bring it up the backside of the bridge. You could take it over to an abutment if you wanted. You could run it a variety of different ways, whatever you thought might be less vulnerable with the automated insert. You don't have the pipe